Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. I'm Tracy, also known as MercyTiara, and I share scrapbooking process videos and more here on my channel. I am getting caught up with a bunch of narrations from scrapbooking layouts that I've done all the way since the summer. And so this is my late December spread for Project Life. As you can see, I'm starting with the photos here, and I have an awful lot of photos for this section of time, which makes sense. There was a lot going on, lots of celebrations. And so what I'm going to do here is grab these templates. I use Project Life templates. They're just pieces of paper that I drew out lines to show where the pockets go. And I took everything related to cookie decorating and everything related to food in general, like specific to food photos, are going on this insert. Now, you will see the video for this insert on, I think, the next process video that I'm creating. It's all in a big queue, so it's coming. If you haven't seen it already, it is coming. So I'm just going to set that aside. And as you can see, the resulting layout certainly does still have a lot of photos, but at least there's some space here for some filler cards or some journaling to go beside some of the photos. There will be a lot of flips in this as well, especially a lot of flips if you include the insert. It looks fantastic with the insert. I just love how it all looks. Oftentimes my inserts have a very different look from the spread itself because they're usually a specific topic, but in this case, the insert flows really nicely. You'll have to see it in my flip through video, which I will be filming shortly. So for now, I am going to use the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit for December here. And I used some of this kit on the previous page, but I still have plenty left over. I also have some cards from an Ellie Studio kit here as well. And so you'll see those being mixed in. I can't remember at this point which are which. When I narrate closer together, I have a better memory for those sorts of things when I narrate closer to the time that I actually scrapbooked. So as you can see, the second step, after I spread out the photos, the second step is to find some cards to go behind any photos that need cards behind them. These are Ellie Studio embellishments that are perforated, and you just pop them out of the sheet. So I'm keeping in mind what embellishments I have, even though I'm not at the embellishing stage yet, because sometimes I might want to arrange photos such that I'm making room for some of these embellishments. Keep going back to those two sheets. I really love that color scheme. Those are really cute with the pops of blue. And so I'm just going to keep on finding. I know I want that in the kitchen is going to be good for the photo of Scott using his sous vide. And what else do I What else do I come up with here? Yeah, so I guess that's as far as I'm going for this one. All of the blank spots will have some journaling on it that you see. So it looks like I'm going to start with this one. It's easy enough. I often start with the easiest thing, just because if you already have an idea, you might as well pop that one off. So that one says Home for the Holidays. It's a photo of one of my daughters piggybacking the other daughter. They both got home from university. And this photo is of them on Christmas morning coming down in their Christmas pajamas. They both had plaid Christmas pajamas. And I'm using this 4x6 vellum with the poinsettia on it, and I am trimming it down because I wanted it to be shifted so that it could fill the blank space. It's basically going to be a little filler card beside the 3x4 inch card. They'll all fit in a 4x6 inch pocket. I'm just going to journal right on this little edge of the door here. The door provides it, or it's a wall, I guess. It provides a good surface here for journaling. It just says Christmas morning, all set for fun. And so I glued the vellum in place in such a way that you wouldn't see the adhesive. It's basically the adhesive is under where the photo is. And so now because it's all going to go in a pocket, it doesn't matter that the vellum kind of flops around a little bit. I will be adding something else to it, but that's it for now. Next, I'm going to use this little card right here, and it is from Ellie's Studio, and I'm going to put that photo of the Christmas tree on there, but I just had to measure it and reprint the photo in a smaller size and also in a square, because I thought it would fit better on the little part of that card above what the fake perforated edge, or stitched, I guess. It looks like it's perforated to me. So I just got rid of those extra things I didn't need, the wrong sized photo and whatnot. And so I glued this down just below the little, it's got like a little fake fold down on the corner of it. The little corner is cut off and there's a little Christmas tree showing. That little space at the top, I thought I would fill with a roller date stamp. I just rolled it over to 24 December 2025, and I stamped it multiple times to fill the space a little bit. Now it does need something below there, so I'm going to dig into the embellishments that came with the Stories by the Month kit. I'm going to put this asterisk here, and then that's going to become the basis for repeating the asterisk around the page on other layouts as well. Just looking for something that might layer well with the asterisk. So this says documenting this season. It's a really pretty color of blue, and it picks up on the fact that the Christmas tree has some blue lights lit on it right there. Our Christmas tree, it is a rainbow. It can change colors. So in that case, it had blue on it. Now, this is a photo of our dear friends from Germany who sent us a photo of how they spent the day, or just a photo of them on Christmas Day. And so I wanted to include that because, of course, connecting with loved ones on Christmas Day is an important tradition. So I have all of these little tags that say a tiny December moment in green, and I'm going to be using that, but I'm also putting some journaling here. It says, "Meanwhile in Germany." It will eventually say "Meanwhile in Germany" once I get myself together here and get it documented. There we go. I'll use my ATG to put this right here. And you'll notice that I didn't put it at the very top. I'm going to go back and add a tiny December moment tag to a lot of different things because I have a whole bunch of them. So I left some space for that. Now here's a photo of me holding my favorite coffee mug. This one says Berlin. We have a whole series of these travel coffee mugs from places we've been and places our friends have been. I'm just going to mount it on this pink card, covering up whatever was on there. I wasn't looking at the screen, but I think something was on there. And I am going to trim down this USB. Now, this is not a very useful video. It's just a video of me cheersing, I guess, with my coffee cup that I sent to a friend. And this is not really needed for the album, but it's just like a little interactive. That's the video right there. That's it. It's just a very short little thing. But it's just an interactive element. Like I said, it doesn't add anything specific to the page, but I do like having interactive elements. I made the video, so I thought I might as well pop it into my project life. And I do that with QR codes quite often. I'm just making sure that I have the name of this right before I put a label on it. This is an item that we got this year. I think my daughter won it at one of those gift swap game things. And White Elephant, I think they're called. And so we went to one of those, and she was ecstatic to get this because she has always wanted one, and I've always wanted one too, so I was happy that she got one too. There's that a tiny December moment label that is green that I'm going to keep using over and over again because there's plenty of them in the kit. I like that repetition. It gives your page a cohesive feel. I'm labeling it with another red label that says Angel Chimes from the Ellie's Studio. And I don't know what I'm writing down here. Oh, I think I'm just pre-writing some of my journaling. I'm going to run that red card with the 3 blank spaces on it. I'm going to run that through. I think I'm going to run it through my printer. It doesn't look like I use stickers. I'm not sure. We'll see when we get there, I guess. So my intention with this 3-box red card is to put 3 different stories on there. So I'm just collecting the stories as I go. I have this little 4x6 white card that I'm using to write them down so I don't forget them. So I have that I want to talk about the Christmas angel or the angel chimes. And I also had the idea that I want to write about Christmas pajamas. So I'll put one in there and one in there, and now I have another story to find. Just trying to figure out how I'm going to do that, if I'll run it through my printer, or if I might, what I sometimes do is I will put it onto clear or even white sticker paper. It's fine if the background is white like that to just use white sticker paper, and it's a lot less expensive. I'm using Art Glitter Designer adhesive on the back of this die cut that says Celebrate in Allie Edwards' handwriting. That's from her Stories by the Month kit for December. I'm just adding that to what will be the title card for this. I mean, it's just a filler card. It just says Feeling Festive, and then I put the word Celebrate underneath of it, and that's it. I'm chatting with the tiaras over on Patreon because we're live streaming as we always do. You'll see comments come up. That's so that I can better read them. So I just wanted to not forget about those stories that I had, but there was a big blob of glue on the card, so I just kind of folded it over and tore off the part I needed so that I didn't make a mess everywhere on that on that card I was using to keep track of my 3 stories. So now I've done it. I ran it through my printer. I just ran the card itself once I figured out the spacing. I cut that part out of the process video. That kind of thing is included in the live stream. So if you're interested in seeing some of that behind the scenes and technical aspects of how these pages come together, every once in a while in a shorter video, I might have the luxury of being able to include some of that stuff. But for most videos, that stuff is going to be cut out. So you can catch it all over on Patreon if you want to join me there. So next I am doing this layout, which is basically photos of Christmas morning. Now, last Christmas, I didn't take pictures of people opening their presents. I wanted to just enjoy the moment, but also I didn't want my projects to be too overly focused on presents. And I actually regret not taking more pictures of presents last year because it was hard to remember who gave what and what we gave and what was given and all of that. So I decided to specifically include some photos of the presents in my project life this year. And so I have all of these 4x6 photos, and there's also a smaller 2x3-inch photo in there as well of us sitting on the couch opening presents. And so I'm going to be making one of my triple fold pockets or pocket cards. And I make these differently now than how I did here. So now I use a hinge, and I find that it's these triple cards are a lot less bulky when I use the hinges. But what I'm doing here instead is I am just going to be, so you see what I did? I took a 6x8, I scored it in half. I took another 6x8, scored it in half, and cut off everything except for this little flap. This flap, I'm going to use score tape to connect. I'm just going to cut off the extra tape there so it's not sticky. I'm going to use the score tape to connect this one right in the halfway point for that. And you just want to make sure that you're putting it below the fold so that it fits in there properly. Now, the reason hinges are better is that when you've got these 6x8 pieces of cardstock, these are thick papers. They're from Kelly Perky kits from a long time ago. I'm layering that thick cardstock plus a photo and another photo on the other side, and it's just going to be a lot of layers. It sits fine and it works perfectly, but it's just a little bit bulky for a project life that's already pretty bulky. So in the future, I will be doing these differently. So I just have to line up these photos so that see, I'm just basically sandwiching them in there. So now a fourth photo. Oh, I have to put in some magnets first. And I'm using fairly thick magnets. because it has to go through a lot of layers because of how thick it is, right? So I'm using I think those are 3 millimeter wide magnets, 3 millimeters thick. And I don't know how wide they are. They're probably like maybe 5 millimeters wide, maybe 4. Yeah, no, they must be 5. Anyways, they're thicker than what I usually use. You can see me kind of pulling this project apart to get the magnets in place. And I just need to make sure that those magnets align with each other so they're going to stick to each other. But also I have to make sure that they're facing the right direction so that they're not opposing each other or repelling each other instead of attracting each other. So I'll figure out where the last magnet goes. It's easy to tell because it sticks there by itself, and then I just put some adhesive on the other side of it and kiss it down to that page, and now it stays in place because there's adhesive on it before I kissed it. Now we will put the last photo in place. And so as you can see, this snaps shut, which is really nice. It won't flap around too much as you're opening the pages of the project. I will put this Merry Christmas die cut to hide the final magnet. I'm going to outline it just to give it a little bit more presence on the page because it's almost the same color as the background with that same sage green and white. So we'll outline it twice just to give it that doodly, messy kind of look. And then we'll put this photo of the stockings on the couch. We don't hang our stockings on the mantle when they're full. They hang there when they're empty, but they are too heavy and we don't trust, and we've got cats, and it's easier to just leave them on the couch. I'm putting an arrow next to that's pointing to Scott's hat because that was the gift that he got that he's celebrating with the X symbol with his arms. And then I'm just looking for something to add to this photo here that I have of the stockings. These are my labels from my MTK kits. If you subscribed to the kits or even just bought a kit, you may have almost all of the kits came with a set of these labels. And so I have all of the labels because I got all the kits, obviously. And so I just printed them all up. They're printables. So you would have gotten the digital file and you could print it up on your printer or send it out to print. And so I printed them all up and I have them in those sleeves. And anytime I can't find a label, there's always one in there that works for me. And the nice thing about it is that if I ever run out, I can just print them up again. So I am making labels, a lot of these labels. So I'm cutting them all out. They're Christmas colors because they're from a Christmas kit. They're probably from the Joy kit. And I cut out the long lines with my bigger scissors, and then I'm just going back in and trimming out the little edges here. There's like little extra corners on these particular labels. Cutting those all out just like that. And then we'll take all those little bits. And now I have these labels that coordinate with each other, like they're all the same shape but different colors, and I can caption all of these photos. So this one says from Mom and Dad, Pandora bracelet, and LL Bean sweaters. And then this one says from Nana and Papa, oven mitts and more. It gave us all kinds of cool things from their trip to Newfoundland. And so I'm keeping another list because I have another card that has a list on it of things to make note of. So you'll see me pull over that list as I think of new things to put on it. So we'll put that in place. Those two look pretty good like that. And now with this one, I'm going to put the golden one down here, and it says from each other, a Walla water bottle and orchid Lego set. We'll glue that right down there. And then I still need to do something with that photo there. So let's figure out, I'm putting that tag there. I think that just adds a little bit more presence on the page. The photo was getting kind of lost on that patterned paper background. It needs a little something else over on the right side to balance off the heaviness of that tab or yeah, it's a tab that says Santa's Little Helper. So I put a little heart there. So now that pocket is all set, and we're gonna work on this one. This one is a funny story of Sophie saw this. Sophie and I went and Liv all went grocery shopping together for some Christmas goodies, and she saw this ginormous Baby Bell cheese, and she just needed to have it. So we got her this cheese, and I'm gonna make a flip to tell the story about it. I like telling quirky, silly little stories. So I cut down one of those 6x8 cards from Kelly Perky, and I cut it in half so that it is 3x8, and I scored it at the halfway point so that it makes a tent fold 3x4 inch card. Now on the inside of it, I have this one that says is always a good idea, and I thought I'd spell out cheese with letter stickers to do that. This is the inexpensive scoreboard that I use. I think it was about $6 on Amazon. I just marked where I always score the center. It has measurements all across the top, but because I am so often scoring at the 4-inch mark, I just put a permanent marker line down where the 4-inch mark is so that it's easy for me to do that. It's a bit of a no-brainer that way. I am putting the magnets in the same way that I have been. I've actually changed this too. So I just kind of set the magnet onto my ATG to get some glue on it, and then I snap it to the magnet, and then I kiss it down, and it's in the right place. I've changed that way of doing it too. I now use glue dots, and yeah, I think what I might do, because it's hard for me to explain the process of putting the magnets on every single time I do it in a process video, I think what I might do is make a smaller video that's all about how to do that, and then I can just always refer to that in the process videos. So if you're interested in seeing something like that, leave me a comment below, and I'm happy to do it. I might just do it anyways, but I'd like to know what you would like. So let me know if you'd find that helpful. So I'm looking for the proper letters here to spell out the word cheese, and I just happen to have these nice cheesy colored ones. I think they're yellow, but they're like a golden yellow. They look like cheese. I was thinking I would pick orange, but really this color works a lot better with the color scheme I have on here. It's an orangey yellow, so it's good. So when you flip up this card, it's going to say cheese is always a good idea, and then there'll be that photo of Sophie posing with the cheese. So we'll put that right there. And I trimmed down that card just so that you can see some of that really pretty white and red. It's white paper with tiny little red polka dots on it. I think that looks really cute as a little mat for that card. Now I'm going to make some tabs because a lot of these cards have flips, and they're going to need tabs just to let the viewer, the person who's looking at the album, let them know that there's something to interact with here. So this is my favorite combination of tabs for the moment. I use this circle tab punch from Stampin' Up! That's over on the right and it's upside down. And then I use my 3/4 inch punch, which is that blue whale punch. And I have this little stamp set from Lawn Fawn that says Open Me. And so I stamp a circle around the Open Me that I stamped onto the green cardstock. Doing 3 of them right now because I'm making 3 tabs. And then I'm going to use some craft paper. This is my favorite combo right now, is the tab punch punched out of craft paper, and then the circles punched out of some coordinating color. And I often do a tone-on-tone stamping where I'll use the same color ink as the paper, but in this case I used black ink on the green paper. So once we have that, I just want to make sure I'm putting it on the right side. It's not going to interfere with the mechanism of the album. So I'll put that on there, and I'm just putting the Open Me right there. And you do have to be careful with your magnet placement, not when it's over to the side here, but if I were to put it in the middle facing down, I just have to be careful that I'm not trying to staple over a magnet. I do like to staple down my tabs because they are going to take more handling than other aspects of my project life, and I don't want them to come off. I'm just saying here that it would have been nice to actually sew over the word cheese, but I would have had to have done that before I put the whole thing together, so I didn't do that. I grabbed a little embellishment. It was like a watercolored heart, and I punched a circle out of that. My thought was that I could use that to, oh, and look at what I did there. I made a little handle, and I needed the circle around that little piece of mistletoe, or holly, that's holly, to be smaller. So I just used a little handle and put it into my punch and punched it to be the right size. So that piece of watercolor paper that's a little orange and a little yellow, it's over by the extra tab there. I'll use that, but I'll get to it in a second. So while I have my tab mechanism out, I made 3 for a reason because I knew I'd need 2 for this one. So I'm going to decide on the tabs for this. And I have to avoid the very center because that's where the magnets are and I don't want to staple on them. So I'll kind of scooch these over. I have them slightly overlapping. Sometimes I make them side by side, but in this case, I wanted them overlapping. And look, I've been using so many staples. I go through staples like I don't know what. So there, the tabs are in place, and now I just have to add my open me circles. And now when it's open, oh, it looks kind of yucky. So we got to figure out what we're going to do here. Are we? Yes, I'm going to end up tucking it underneath of that die cut. But first, let's get that heart back and take a couple more punches out of it. And, oh, look, I have these stars that can go in it too. Very Christmassy. It looks like I'm using a lot of glue, but that's a very small band. You don't want to use a whole lot of glue there or it will ooze. It's a little small bead of glue, I should have said. It looks like a lot because it's white on the craft. All right, so there we go. At some point, I'm going to fix that so that the tab fits under the die cut piece, but maybe that's in my maintenance video. I'm not sure. So for this one, what I want to do is it's going to go in a 4x6 pocket, but I want a 3x4 flap on it. So I'm just going to play around with figuring out how I'm going to do that as like what the mechanism is going to be for that. So what I've decided on is to make a little hinge. So I'm going to use this piece it's a fairly heavy piece of pattern paper. It's more of a cardstock. And I cut it down to 3 by 2, and I'm going to score it at 1 inch mark lengthwise. And now this is going to be my little hinge. I'm going to put some score tape on it because it does have to take a beating. And oops, I put score tape in the wrong place, but that's all right. I'm just going to leave it there. Yeah, so I want to adhere this hinge to the top left-hand side of this 4x6 photo so that I can then have this 3x4 inch card just kind of be the flap. We're going to install some magnets, and I'm using my teeny tiny magnets here because I suspect I'm not going to need a whole lot of hold for this to work. I try to use those tiny magnets whenever I can because I have lots of them. I bought them already and I want to use them, and you really can't use them most of the time. So yeah. I'm doing something different here. Here, instead of gluing the magnet down, I just taped a piece of paper over it to keep it in place. That's another option. I don't know exactly why I did that, but that's what I did. Just playing around with all the different ways you can do things. I positioned that 2x3 inch photo so that it aligned with the pattern below it, that fa la la pattern, or the pattern above it, I should have said. And now in this one, I don't think I'm going to put a tab. Instead, I'm just going to stamp lift the flap. And in that little white space, because it's like a little white space, your eye definitely goes to it. And I'm hoping that people looking at the album will notice that and lift it up and see what's underneath. This is a photo of Scott using his sous vide system for the first time. And then the photo on the inside is a photo of the eggs that he made. He makes a dupe of Starbucks sous vide egg bites. I printed up my journaling on white sticker paper because you might as well. It's cheap to use, and if the card is white anyways, there's no harm in doing that. It just talks about why he got a sous vide for Christmas, and on the inside, I'm just going to, in that little white space there, instead of putting something there, I thought I'll just write something. So the caption just says, Scott's first creation, a dupe of Starbucks sous vide egg bites. And now we're on this one. Am I going to do this one now? Because I only have a few points. See how I'm making a list as I go? So yeah, we'll skip that one because, yeah, I guess I changed my mind about that one. We're just going to keep on going. And as I think of things to put on that list, I will add them. And then maybe towards the end, I will actually write them on the list. I want to know how many ideas I have and how long they're going to be before I start writing them down. So this is a flip card. So single flips have 3 surfaces. So I've got 3 cards here that go together. Love this about the Ali Edwards kits, that there's repetition. It's perfect for people like me who do a lot of flips. And so I'm making another hinge. It's 3 by 2 again, scored at the halfway point. And this way I can just use these cards as they are and not have to worry about mounting them on another flip card. And these hinges work really, really well. So I put score tape on 3 of the surfaces, and then we will tape these cards in place. I'm actually going to put a small caption on the bottom of each of these cards. So first I have to decide on the sizes of the photos to fit in the cards because they were just printed at my generic sizes and I needed them to actually be smaller. So sorry about that little blank space there, but I reprinted them. So you see them now, they all fit in the white space easily. One of them is taller and thinner. That was just because I had to, because of the way that the photos were taken and sized and the subject matter. So and those happen to be the hosts that are in the larger photo, slightly larger. And so I will put that one on the outside so that it's not obvious that it's different than the others. And then I ran all of those cards, all 3 of the cards, through my printer to put little captions on the very bottoms of them. And again, if you'd like to, that involves some trial and error and printing up samples and that sort of thing. And so if you want to see that, check out my Patreon. The captions say, Fee and Doug, Jen and Adam at Fee's party, and the Banksfords at Fee's party. Gonna do the same thing here with my little magnet. And yeah, just playing around with all the different ways to do the magnets. Now, this didn't look straight to me, so that's why I'm kind of fussing with it a little bit, but I think it is straight. So we're just going to put the back card on first and then put the inside flip card. Just, you have to leave a little gap. You can't put those cards butt up against one another because it won't fold properly. So always leave the crease. And then we do need to put the last magnet in place. Just got to make sure it's in the right place. And I didn't need score tape on this one. That would have been fine, but there we go. So now that one is done. It doesn't get a tab, but in my album maintenance, I do add tabs to everything that doesn't have tabs. So at this point, I've collected enough stories that I'm ready to write down the things that go in these spaces. So the top line says Christmas Eve itinerary. And then I've got point form one. The first two hold the words visit Judy and Shirley in Westville/Salt Springs. I made a little mistake there, but it really doesn't matter. The next one says Christmas Eve dinner at Nana and Papa's and game and presents. So that spans 3 of those lines. And then the last one says Christmas Eve party at Feast with Games. That fills up the last 2 lines. And so you see how, given that I have these specific lines, I needed to kind of know what I was saying before I wrote it down. I couldn't just wing it with that one like I do with all the other ones usually. Here I'm going to put a little banner here from those Christmas die cuts from Ellie's studio, and it says Kyra's Cats, just so I could remember someday why, whose cat was this? We don't see Kyra that often, and so we might not recognize the cat. Next, I'm trying to combine this green 4x6 card with, and I think that one is from Ellie's studio, with this vellum piece from Ali Edwards. And I thought about different ways of doing it, and I ended up doing it this way. So I'm basically just adding moments to the top of it. I'm leaving a little bit more vellum because I can put something above the word moments. So I was going to write something down, holiday moments, but I really don't like that. So we'll come back to that and do something different. My journaling here says we were a little late to the party, but we finally all went to see Wicked Part 2. It's hard to get us all together for long enough to see a movie. It's something we had been planning to see since it came out, but just getting around to it in that break between Christmas and New Year's. So I'm going to put this here. It says back for more. And because it was Wicked Part 2, that one suits. I wish it was a different color. I really wish it was red, but that's what we're going to go with because it fits thematically. I'm going to add more to that, but not quite yet, I guess. So at this point, most of the cards are pretty much done. I think they're all done. And so I'm just looking at what else I can add to different cards to embellish them. So I'm refamiliarizing myself with the contents of the embellishments that came in the Stories by the Month kit. And I'm going to repeat the asterisk, which I already mentioned I'll be repeating in a few different places. And I also really love these black circles with Allie's handwriting on them. So we'll put I Will Remember in a few places. And this one says Everyday Stories. And that makes a nice visual triangle around the page. And then we also have 3 different asterisks here too that make a triangle on the page from there to there to there. So those 2 overlapping triangles do draw your eye around the page. I'm just going to add highlights up here below Scott's elbows. And we'll add another A Tiny December Moment label there and maybe there. Nope, we're not going to put it there because it's a little distracting there. So finally, we will glue some of these down some of the things that we had decided on. I think there's a few more tiny touches from my stash, at least one. I like putting that one that I will remember right between our arms there, mine and Scott's, because it fills up the space on the photo that doesn't have important stuff on it. I really love having this asterisk overlap with the tab because it hangs off the page, but it's not going to be flimsy because the tab there supports it. So that is almost done, but see that photo with Liv on Sophie's back? She's giving her a piggyback ride. I'm going to add some wood pieces to that. 3 little wooden starish shapes, an asterisk, a star, and a circle with rays coming out of it. I'm also going to add some to this in the kitchen and also some up by Scott's head on where he's giving the X sign. So 3 places right there. There we go. So we have 3 overlapping visual triangles here with similar embellishments repeated around the page. And I really love how that feels. So we will just glue those down with my Art Glitter Dries Clear designer adhesive. And I'm using my pickup stick to pick those up before I place them down. I was surprised that the pickup stick was strong enough to lift up wood pieces, but it is, so that's great. Oh, we put another one right there. I forgot about that one. Gonna add another tiny December moment right there on the Germany one. And that's it. So before we jump into the photos, I want to give a quick shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters. These folks truly help make this channel happen, so I'm grateful to each and every one of them. Tiaras get early, ad-free access to all of my process videos, plus real-time unedited versions, often in the form of live streams. They get access to our amazing Discord community. That's a really fun place to hang out, and behind the scenes videos and all sorts of other things. And memberships start as little as $2 a month, and it's a pay what you can model, so everybody gets access to all the things. So come on over and join us if you're interested in that kind of thing. But do remember that all of my process videos will always be free here on YouTube as well. So thank you. I really appreciate you for watching as well. And I hope that these photos that you see at the end here give you a little bit more detail on how things look once everything is all done. I always like to show the insides of the flaps so that you get to see what's on the outside and then what's on the inside. And then of course for this one, because there's 2 flips, you get another image of what's on the very inside. So there you go. Thanks so much for watching, and have yourself a really great scrappy week. Bye-bye.